Hey guys, so it's been a while since my last video and I wanted to do this one because on the 1st of February was Time to Talk Day. Now I never did it on that day, this video, because I was really unwell. Had a bit of a chest infection and tonsillitis at the same time, so couldn't breathe proper, couldn't speak, couldn't swallow, so I was really unwell physically. So I want to just kind of start off by talking about my current situation that I'm in. It's been a while since I've last updated, and if you read my blogs then you'll know what's been going on, but for those who don't, this year hasn't been the best of years so far, and even the end of last year it wasn't a great year. So in September I took an overdose. I lost a really close friend of mine. I've been really unwell physically and even mentally been really unwell, and most of that has been down to exhaustion, that I've been doing too much and not having enough rest. So I was just catching every infection that was going around. Within a couple of months I had about 3 stomach bugs, a few colds, a flu, chest infection, tonsillitis. My toe got infected. It was just like the smallest thing, and I was getting infections and I was put back on antibiotics, and it just wasn't healthy. I hurt my hand and wrist in November, and because of both my work, both my jobs, I'm a private first aider for an independent ambulance company in Edinburgh, but I also work in Tesco's, and my hand or my wrist hasn't had the time to heal, kind of helping patients up to their feet and picking up boxes, pulling cages, carrying heavy bags for the first aid, and it's just it's been exhausting, and as you can tell I've still got a cold, or it could be my allergies, I don't know, both are playing up just now really bad. So well, after the overdose in September, I managed to get through the rest of September. So this was mid-September, rest of September, October, November, and half of December without self-harming. So I'm kind of going, yes, score one. I did slip up in December, but I'm trying to get back on track again, and I know I can do it. So I've done it before, I can do it again. And dissociations are still happening quite a lot, so hopefully things with my psychologist will work out and he'll help me towards try to stop them in a way, if that's possible. OCD, I've been getting really OCD with my anxiety, just mentally and physically it's been really bad recently. So I don't know, I'm putting a lot of blame on exhaustion, but we'll find out, because I'm going away to Dingwall for a week, well, just outside Dingwall, so going up there for kind of a retreat for a rest. So see how that goes and see how I'm feeling. Could just be also winter time, kind of generally feeling the winter blues, as they call it. And on an upside, I was kind of going through my list of friends that I've got, and I still do have friends, which is amazing. And I actually thought I didn't have any friends, so good news is I know I've got some, and I'm starting to learn to trust them and build up the trust between us that I feel like we don't really have. So if I'm looking off to the side, it's because I've got my notes on kind of what all I want to cover for this talk. So that's my current situation. I've just been really unwell recently, mentally, physically. I've lost really close friends. I've had family in hospital, family really unwell, friends being really unwell. So here's hoping it gets better. That's all I can say is this year cannot get any worse than it has been so far. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about, which is leading up to the time to talk, is my good friends Chris and Ella Young. I got to meet up with them the other day, and if you don't know who Chris is an author. Well, he's published his first book, Walk a Mile, Tales of a Wandering Loon. Can't even speak today. So I've started reading it, and this is not a bookmark, don't worry. What I've read of it so far, it's a really good book. It's really hard to start with, but I've been told by Chris himself that it does get better. Chris does a lot of work involving mental health. He used to be a social worker. He was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, kind of like me in that area. And the book is basically how he became a social worker, got this diagnosis, how everything was kind of falling apart for him just before that, and then what he's doing now, which is basically walking around the border of the country, kind of talking about mental health. It's called Walk a Mile, UK. I'm Walk a Mile in my shoes. If you look back a couple of years ago, I did a video about my first Walk a Mile with him, with Josh, the Tartan Explorer. So you can look back on that. That's Chris. He runs that. It's now a charity, so you can look it up. If there's a walk near you, I'd recommend doing one and talking to a stranger for miles, or half a mile and then swap to a different partner and talk about mental health. It's really good. I enjoyed it, and I'll put a link down at the bottom in the description to Chris's page so you can find it, and also to the Walk a Mile page on Facebook. So they just recently had the book launch for that book, and I was there, unwell, but I made it. And we were there having dinner in the evening with some of his friends, other Walk a Milers, and it felt so unusual but good, being able to kind of talk about our mental health in a normal conversation. Normally, I feel like it gets hushed quite a lot, so it's quite nice to just be able to talk about it like anything else. And it was quite funny because Chris was looking for his teacher. You've probably seen it about on the news, kind of hashtag find Miss Ward, and it got me thinking about a lot of my teachers at school, kind of the ones that were really there for me. So if any of them ever see this video, kind of want to say thanks for everything that you've done, all the help that you've either gave me or tried to give me. It's really appreciated, so thank you so much. So Chris was saying during the talk that Time to Talk Day should be every day, not just one day of the year, and Sam H and See Me Scotland agree with that as well. Kind of, they've said the same, that they want to try and make it more of an everyday thing rather than just one day a year, but got to start somewhere. So kind of those who don't know, my past with mental health kind of started when I was about 5 years old. So yeah, that's kind of like the earliest memories of it for me. And throughout my life, I've struggled with an eating disorder. I've kind of gone both ends on the spectrum, the kind of obese side, but also being the anorexic bulimic, kind of was one and then turned into the other. I've self-harmed, I dissociate, I've had suicidal thoughts and attempted in my life, OCD, anxiety, depression. A few years ago I was diagnosed with BPD, borderline personality disorder, which before anyone says, I know people are calling it emotionally unstable personality disorder now. So yeah, it's the same thing. It's just a new name to try and make it sound a bit nicer, I got told, so I don't think it does, but that's not for me to decide, apparently. So all this kind of problems I've faced in life has affected me throughout my whole life. I've had no friends basically growing up. It's distanced me from my family even now. With work, well, go to school first. I ended up failing quite a lot of my stuff because I just couldn't study. I couldn't concentrate to study, and it was stressing me out that I couldn't study, so I ended up failing quite a lot or getting bad grades, not the grades that I was expected to get, because everyone knew I could do the stuff, but when it came to the exams and the prelims, it just went downhill from there. So it really affected me there. I got bullied really badly when people found out about it. So there was that. Started working when I was about 18, 19, and the first job was verbally abusive and really tough. So that led to a lot of complications when I was working there, in particular the self-harm side. I would never kind of go to that place again, not even to, there's a restaurant, I wouldn't even eat there, even though the food was good. I just wouldn't want to be around them, even though I've heard it's under new management. Too many bad memories, so I'd rather just avoid it. I had another job as a waitress where in a different restaurant where I had to, even though I wasn't self-harming, because I had the scars, I had to keep it hidden. So in and out of hot kitchens, carrying hot plates. I got exhausted really quick because of the heat, so I had to keep arms hidden, kind of wear long sleeves, and didn't matter how light it was, you always built up the heat kind of attitude. Tesco's, well, I've took a couple of panic attacks in the store. One of my overdoses was, it happened outside the store, but it affected me in the store. Self-harm's been pretty bad, and like I've got a really good store just now that I'm in that's very supportive. I just kind of feel like a burden to them about it all, but it's nice to have that support from the managers, just to take my time and just do stuff that will help me. So I'm quite glad of that. And so outside all that, the NHS, because when you've got mental health, more than likely you will have dealings with the NHS, and I've had good and bad experiences from it. I don't want to just slam the NHS and say this happened, that happened, that happened, and this happened, but there has been good experiences as well. I have met some really good GPs and I have met good psychologists, but on the flip side I've also met some really bad ones and some really awful doctors and nurses, especially when it comes to about self-harm. And that's why I think it's important to talk about all this, because the more, I don't want to use the word normalize, but the more we make it okay to talk about, and an ordinary conversation where you go, how are you, and someone goes, I feel like rubbish, or I feel depressed, I feel anxious. I think that's important. So then there's none of this judgment kind of, well, why are you feeling like that? Just smile, be happy for what you have, just get over the problem, you're fine, just do it. It's just, I find it hard to understand why people would do that, but that's coming from my side. At the same time, I can see maybe why that they don't understand, so because of that lack of understanding, they can be quick to judge. I know myself, I've been really quick to judge things that I don't understand, and then kind of go back and kind of apologise for it and kind of be like, sorry for being so judgy, I just don't understand it. So yeah, sorry I'm taking so many long gaps in between sentences. I'm just trying to get my breath because of this cold, and I feel really nervous about doing this, but I think it's because it's been so long since I've done a video. I've forgotten how to do them in a way, which is why I've got my PowerPoint kind of there, kind of telling me what all I want to involve in the speech. But I'm also thinking, why do I do these things? Why do I do these videos? Why do I do my blogs, which I'm more confident at? Why do I go along to walk a mile events or to depressed cake shops? And the thing is, I do all these things because I want to help people. Being in the mental health system, I know it's struggling, and it's struggling really bad. There's no denying it. And I know myself and a few other people from these events that I've spoke to, and even friends of mine who's been in the system, and I know that they all struggle with it because of the long waiting lists, or the psychologist doesn't understand, or the psychiatrist, or the medication isn't working, so they just keep chucking different medications, different strengths at them every month without actually giving the medication time to work. So doing these events, I feel like I can be a listening ear to these people, kind of someone who understands and wants to do the best that they can to help. So kind of helping Samaritans. That phone call could help someone who's really struggling. So I want people to know that they're not alone, and that there is someone out there listening and wanting to help, and that has personal experience in these kind of areas. So that's why I kind of do all this sort of stuff, to help people. And a lot of people think it's because I want to help myself, but the only way it helps me is because I've helped them, and that's not always the case for me. I guess what I'm trying to say is, even with my mental health, doesn't matter how many people I help, it doesn't always help me. It can make me feel slightly better, but it doesn't help me. What helps me is talking to people myself, taking my medication, and having people that feel like they understand me. So I'm getting this bit all mixed up. I don't know what I'm saying or thinking. So yeah, Time to Talk Day is important to me because it's a chance to be able to talk freely about mental health, to be able to talk without fear of judgment, to be able to make something that's so kind of tabooed more public and more acceptable. And I think that's what we need in the world. I think back to like my great uncle who passed away of cancer, kind of he never told me he had cancer, he told me he had the C word. And to the older generations, they wouldn't say the word cancer, they would just say the C word, or they've got it. and everyone understood what it meant, but me being me, I didn't understand, and it was like, what's that? And someone had to whisper kind of, it's cancer. So so yeah, I kind of want mental health to be able to move on from that kind of stage to a stage where everyone's talking about cancer, everyone's raising money for cancer, no one's afraid to say, I've got it. But yet with mental health, we're still at that stage where if we have a problem, it's like, do I say that I've got this problem, or do I keep it to myself? So so I think it's important for that reason to talk about it, to make it something that shouldn't be so feared, and something that can bring more understanding for people who don't understand that, because they're not going to understand unless we talk about it. It's as simple as that. If we're told to keep silent about it, then how are they going to understand? So I encourage you to talk about it, to if you've got trusted friends, talk to them about it. If you've got family that you trust, talk to them about it first, and then start broadening it to maybe your friends that you sort of trust but you want to trust, or family that you're slightly distant but you want to be connected with them more, and talk to them, and feel free to be able to talk to them about this kind of stuff. I know from speaking from experience how hard that is. I lost one of my friends, and what was the final straw was him writing on Facebook about my mental health problems, and first of all saying that it was about his wife when it had nothing to do with his wife, but then secondly, he didn't ask my permission to put it online. If he had asked, I would have said yeah, that was fine, but he didn't ask, and that was the thing that hurt the most. So yeah, that really hurt my trust. But then I've got my other friends that I've trusted with this information, and they've turned around and said, look, is it okay I tell my wife or my husband about this, and then we can both be there for you? And I've said yeah, that's fine, or no, that's not, and then they've respected that. So and then I've got like my cousin who I trusted with all this, so he's been really good with it, and my mum. So even though it's been really tough on them, so like, just start with the people closest with you, and it's hard, but you will learn who your true friends and your true family are through kind of this kind of conversation, whether they'll stand by you or turn around and tell you no. So just snap out of it. If they say something like that, I'm sorry, but it's not worth it. You don't deserve it. So because you can't just snap out of it, no matter how hard you try. There's no such thing as a magic wand in this world, sadly. So if they tell you to snap out of it, just ignore them. So I've got some future videos that I'm planning, and I'm going to attempt. We've got Walk a Mile and a Depressed Cake Shop coming up soon, so I'm hoping to do maybe like a wee video about that. And we've got now a Depressed Cake Shop after I've been in Florida kind of planned, so I'm thinking about trying to get permission to do a wee recording about that and stick online so people can learn a wee bit more about the Depressed Cake Shop. I've got Florida coming up, and I've got my trip to Dingwall. I think my Dingwall one, if I do anything, it's going to be more personal stuff rather than a kind of vlog of my holiday, but the Florida one I might try and get some videos in here and there, kind of if we do something fun or funny, just to kind of share with everyone. I've got a couple more videos that I found on my laptop that I need to upload, so there's that. But also I'm wanting to kind of try to build my confidence up, kind of talking about everyone else with their time to talk. Same for me. I do my blogs, but I'm wanting to use this as well because I've got the account, so I might as well try and use it and build up my confidence. But I want to share bits of my story with you, kind of my experiences in different mental health aspects, so self-harm kind of story, or my eating disorder, kind of go through that with you. So all that's to come up, and hopefully soon. We'll just need to wait and see what happens. I kind of want to do like a quick thank you to a group of people who have always been there for me. So I want to start with like the kind of anonymous stuff, kind of Pink Ladies First, Tesco, my work with Coast Ambulance and HTC. The staff members have been amazing, kind of the helpers, volunteers, all have been brilliant and very supportive towards me when I've been at work or at these groups with my health, physical or mental, so, and treat me the same no matter what. I'm going to say my church. I've got two churches, so I'm just going to combine them. I've got Ross and Fee, Robert and Karen, Richard and Fiona, Mark, Diane, some of their children, Cara, Devereaux, Stuart, Louise. They have all been amazing, and also from out with the church situation, I've had Frida and Chris and Ella really doing a lot to try and help and support me through a lot of tough times, and just letting me come along to events and kind of share my story. It's amazing that they allow me to do that. So I just want to thank all these people for kind of all the support and being my friend and just sticking by me no matter how tough things get, kind of the occasional how are you okay, and it means a lot to me. So, and whenever I've had problems, they've always been there for me, so I couldn't ask for better friends. So thank you guys so much. If you see this video, you guys are amazing, so thank you all so much. So that's this video. I think I've covered everything really badly. Foggy head. I don't know when this is going to clear, so I don't know when the next video will be, because I've kind of had this constant for the last 3 months, so, and there's nothing the doctor can do about it apparently, because I've been after like the first month, so I just keep getting told to ride the wave and deal with it. So I don't know when the next video will be. Sorry if this wasn't a clear video. Next video should be a bit clearer when I'm not so kind of foggy brained and choked up and getting all my allergies playing up. So yeah, hope you all have a good night and speak to you all soon.